Welcome to Saurav's classes. Today we are discussing the IIT-JAM 2020 Mathematical Statistics paper. And this question talks about an expression of x plus alpha cube into e to the power x, where alpha is a constant and is a real number, and the coefficient of x to the power 125 in the Maclaurin series of this expansion is 28 by 124 factorial. And we are asked to find the value of alpha. So for this, first we have to expand e to the power x. So e to the power x can be written as sum of n from 0 to infinity x to the power n by factorial n. So this is the expression of e to the power x, and if I expand it, it becomes 1 plus x square by factorial 2 plus x cube by factorial 3 plus plus x to the power 124 by factorial 124 plus x to the power 125 divided by factorial of 125, and it goes on till infinity. Now observe that this expression is multiplied by a factor of x plus alpha cube. Now when I multiply this whole thing by x plus alpha cube, then the coefficient of x to the power 125 will contain x into x to the power 124, so it will contain this multiplication with x and this term, and it will also contain x to the power 125 multiplied by alpha cube. So it will so the coefficient of x to the power 125 will be the summation of two terms. So the first term is this multiplication, and the second term would be this multiplication. So we do that multiplication and see what comes out. So from the first multiplication we get x to the power 125 over factorial of 124, and from the second one we get x to the power 125 into alpha cube by factorial of 125, and this value, this is the value of x to the power 125 by summing up the two numbers, and this becomes x to the power 125 into its coefficient, which is 1 by 124 factorial plus alpha cube by 125 factorial. So this is the coefficient of x to the power 125 in this expression, and it is given that this part, this coefficient is 28 over 124 factorial. So we can write 1 by 124 factorial plus alpha cube over 125 factorial is equal to 28 by 124 factorial. So this can be simplified by writing it as 1 by 124 factorial plus alpha cube by 125 multiplied by 124 factorial is equal to 28 by 124 factorial. So if I take 1 by 124 factorial common, I will get 1 plus alpha cube over 125 is equal to 28 by 124 factorial. So I cancel out 124 factorial from both sides. I get alpha cube by 5 cube, because 125 is 5 cube, is equal to 28 minus 1, which is 27, that is 3 cube. So which means alpha cube is equal to 3 into 5 whole cube, which is 15 cube. So therefore alpha is equal to 15. So the value of alpha comes out to be 15 here. Now this question says that we have a random variable x which is defined in this region, and y is defined as x minus box function of x, where box function of x is the greatest integer less than or equal to x, and we are asked to find the probability of y being greater than 0.25. Now let us understand what y is. So y is x minus box function of x. So what are the values that y can take? So if x is an integer, then y will be 0, because the integer just less than that integer will be the same integer. And if x is lying between box function of x, which is the integer below, and x, that means let's say the value of x is 1.9 and box function of x is equal to 1 here. So therefore x minus box function of x will be 0.9. Now if x touches the next higher integer, which means if x becomes equal to 2, if x is equal to 2, then box function of x also becomes 2, and therefore y becomes 0. Now y therefore can take values from 0 to 1 or just less than 1. So 0 to 1 is what y will take. Okay, so therefore y cannot have any other value other than this range. So the probability of y being greater than 0.25 is 1 minus 0.25, which is equal to 0.75, because it can go only from 0 to a little less than 1, or in the limit we can consider it to be 1 just for our understanding. So 0 to 1 is the maximum range of y, and it can have values of less than 0.25 25% of the time, and it will have values greater than 0.25 75% of the time. So the answer to this is 0.75.